Hello everyone, welcome one and all to Unicorn Light Tarot. If you are brand new here and this is your first time with us, welcome. And for those of you who have been with us for a while, welcome also. Obviously, welcome everybody. So today what I thought we would do, if you have watched my videos, especially recently, I've been on a spirit kind of cleansing and getting back to self and grounding into our own energy and really opening up heart chakra and working with one's own beautiful magic here, so we can stay very much on the course and just stay in our own center, because there's a lot of stuff going on right now, and it's important to ground and be in your own energy and be discerning. So that's what we're doing today. So today we're going to do messages of self-love from your angels. So we're going to be working directly with angels today, particularly Archangel Michael, and we'll be getting you channeling messages of self-love, what you need to hear to encourage self-love and stay in that self-love, self-worthiness element. As always, we have our healing candle here with our dressed with our healing oil that was made under the full moon many moons ago, with an eclipse, I believe. So you're welcome to release anything that no longer serves you, as well as using these readings for activation and healing in any way that you want. And as always, we have three piles here. The first pile, we have the Chakra Love card of compassion. So that's your pile 1. And vulnerability is on pile 2, and passion is pile 3. So however you get attracted to each pile is completely up to you, whether the words compassion or the energy of the pile or the color. However way you choose your pile is a very personal thing. Do, if you can, take some time to really get into your own heart and head space. If you need to, go ahead and pause the video to be in alignment with these messages, so you get more healing from them, then do whatever you need to do. The timestamps are always down below, so take as much time as you need with these. So let's go ahead and move vulnerability for just a second, and we're going to move passion for just a second too. So if you chose pile 1 and compassion, then we have the heart chakra here. Resolve your conflicts with compassion. So that is your first message. And again, don't forget we have activation and healing candle too. So we have a couple of tarot cards to start off with, and then we'll get more messages of self-love from your angels, from your oracle cards too. So you have 9 of Swords here, and you have the Fool, which is reversed. So there's a few things already going on, pile 1, with learning to work with what we call truisms, what's really true, versus what you've told yourself over the years, and then have become a truism. You're starting to unravel a lot of those, what you thought were truisms, but you're starting to unravel a lot of them. And those truisms may have been there for a protective measure throughout the years, but they're no longer serving you, and they don't directly hurt you, but they do cause a little bit of friction between you and the external world, insofar as like you having that brand new beginning of freedom, which you so crave and absolutely deserve, having that compassion for yourself and others, that you sometimes have a lengthy discussion with yourself with and have a little bit of a problem with, is just because a few things that you've told yourself along the line. For instance, we can give you a for instance, pile 1. The world isn't safe is one for a lot of you that's coming up. Of course, do bear in mind, these are all personal readings. These are all general readings. So some of these messages might be for some of you, some others. But if you're resonating then chances are the message is for you. But the world is not safe is sort of a big one that's coming up. And specifically about that, people are there to hurt you or manipulate you or take something from you. Now, in the past, that was probably true. And what you did is you built up that wall, and that wall was important between you and the world. So not only could you be protected, but in order for you to truly heal, Pile One, you actually needed to have that protection from the world, so you could cut out everybody else's opinion, and actually come back to who you were. So there was a sort of a seclusion period, for those of you who feel like you might even be agoraphobic, or I'm not laughing about agoraphobia, but I'm just saying you're not really. But the whole point of it is that you're coming back into yourself, and having to come out of the world a little bit in order to sort of heal on your own terms, as you were out in the world on sort of everybody else's terms. So you're starting to realize that you're moving away from all of these old versions of reality that you had. And again, there's no judgment. You needed them in order to protect yourself. You needed them in order to sort of make sense of the world that was going on. And just in a pragmatic sense, Pile One, people were mean to you. Things did happen. It's perfectly reasonable for your mind to accept that things were going on. But that also hardened your viewpoint that this was always going to be the same moving forward. Things were always going to be difficult. The world isn't safe. And of course, what we've got going on here with the world, there's a lot of there's so much going on that would fragment you further and would solidify that old way of being. So the fact that you're actually coming to terms with something beyond that and creating a new reality for yourself in these turbulent times is absolutely magnificent. Most people wouldn't have the strength or the courage to do that. Let's see what else we have. We have the 9 of air here. Expecting the worst. Yes, self-fulfilling prophecies, sleepless night. But look at this, Pile One, it's reversed. So your messages of self-love from your angels are absolutely saying specifically to you, the world is a safe place. It actually is, believe it or not. There were karmic elements to people coming in and around you, things that you needed to learn. Again, we want to be really clear on this in Unicorn Light Tarot. We would never say under any circumstances that, I'm not into that woo-woo stuff where let's just forgive everybody so you can move on with your life. If things really genuinely happened to you and there was stuff that was going on where people were horrible to you, you forgive on your own terms, and nobody can tell you how to do that. And there's a way to forgive to pull yourself out of it. You don't have to forgive the other person. You can accept that the other person did not do their best, really were out to hurt other people. And, I'm not trying to wave a magic wand here and say that everything's fine. And this idea of sort of victim blaming where we say, you had to go through that, so just buck up, sure. That's one way of doing it, but that's not what we do here. We're full of compassion here at Unicorn Light Tarot. So we totally understand that everything that you did go through, yes, you did have to learn from it, but we also accept that it was extremely painful for you. And the way back to yourself was not easy for you. In many ways, you had to claw yourself back, and we respect everything that you've done and everything that you've had to do in order to get to where you are. You have a huge amount of courage, Again, as we said, to reiterate, a lot of people would not have been able to do what you have done. And the way in which you are shedding and growing in these turbulent times, where most people are shutting down and giving into fear, and this is the only way, and this is the only way, and most people are doing that because they're bringing in the fear, and they're not sort of working beyond that, beyond any of that. They're going back into the polarity stance. But you're willing to do something that takes a huge amount of courage to be able to go through and work beyond the polarity, to be able to see exactly what you've inherited, all of these versions of reality that you've inherited through protection, and how you can say to yourself that no longer applies to me anymore, but still know that there's work to be done for you to really believe in all of your your senses, all of your neurons need to believe that the world is safe again. We have the 5 of winter here. Walk away from dishonest associations. Yes, realizing that what you thought you wanted isn't the best choice for your happiness, something that's not worth the effort. So part of that is realizing that, and healing, of course. We've got a lot of blue here too, very soothing ocean river energy. Healing here coming in 6-6. And then we have here cherish, rediscover the sweetness of life. Yes, Pile 1, that's exactly what you're doing. You're rediscovering the sweetness of life, giving yourself that compassion, doing this on your own terms and realizing. Now, we all say this, but we also sort of, we choose, we choose to see this as a truism when we choose to. Sorry, I'm sipping over my words here right now, but we always say it's very important, the energy that you have around you, the people, whatever you're ingesting, whatever you're reading, this, that, and the other. This is very true for you, Pile 1. But it's really important for you right now. And we say that, and still, we don't necessarily let these people back into our lives. But what's going on with you, Pile 1, is that if you're going back to try and figure out these configurations of how these people did this to you and did that to you and whatever, you're still attached to that energy. You're still allowing that energy in, even if that person isn't physically in your life anymore. Now, there's definitely a way to go back and objectively look at what happened to release for good and cut those cords. So if you're doing that, that's wonderful. But if you're looking back and sort of seething, and there's still a way to do that and keep your power. If you're allowed your anger. Anger can be wonderful. It can be used for passion. But if the anger is being used for blame and you're going in this loop to loop, going back and back and back and back and backwards and forwards constantly about what they did wrong and this, that, and the other, then you're still holding on to that energy, and it's not going to help you move forward with this brand new sort of outlook that you have, where you are edging towards this new beginning and this total freedom to move, as I always say, spherically, instead of a lot of people are trying to move forward right now. There's nothing wrong with that, but when you move forward, there's only one way to go, and sometimes that narrows your vision. That's why I always say be discerning. When you're truly open and you have the stance of freedom, you can live spherically. That means you can live in any direction. You're open to true abundance and manifestation. You're open to all different kinds of energy. There's not one way of doing things. And that's where you're at. So going over these old things where you're seething about them, you can say, and you have every right to say, you kind of messed me up and you could have done better and this, that, and the other. You can do all of that, but then release and cut those cords afterwards, because your brand new beginning, you're healing on a brand new level here. And you've been leading up to this level for a really, really long time. And what we really want you to concentrate on is that self-love, is that compassion that you have for yourself. Giving yourself that compassion means that when that freedom and sense of freedom comes in and you're living spherically, you have that compassion for absolutely everybody. And right now, for some of you, there's this contempt or this not really contempt necessarily per se, for some of you maybe, but this version of narrowing things down, which you tend to do when you're fearful and stressful, which we all do, but you know that you're doing this, and then you start thinking that the world is not safe. I know stuff is going on right now, and we're certainly not saying that there isn't reason to protect yourself in certain ways, certainly, but the world is a lot safer in many ways than it's ever been before, because we're opening up and we're figuring out who we are, and the darkness is coming to light, and once that's coming to light, yes, it's a little bit chaotic right now. So definitely, before you go out and about, where there's going to be energies around you, certainly call for protection from your angels, so you can protect your energy while you're out, because you are extreme empaths, Pile 1. You definitely are. You're like sponges, and this is why all of this has happened coming through your life. You picked up on everybody's sort of ideology. You've taken on everybody's energy. For you, it would be a great idea, if you feel called to, always be discerning, and always go with your intuition, but to really clear out your first and second chakra, of people. You know, you could do it from old lovers, but old friendships that didn't work out. So you get to the point of honoring when you're on the other side and say, this was not good, but I can see what I've learned from this. I truly wish I had learned it a different way, but I didn't. But I got the wisdom from it. I can cut the cord and move on. Remember, this brand new beginning for you is huge about self-worth, being worthy, which comes from immense compassion that you will give yourself, and this loyalty to your vision of who you truly are. Who you truly are is this open, expansive, beautiful person. If you've been closed down or you've shut yourself down, that's out of protection. So there's no longer any need for you to do that. But there's still a process that you're working on. But you're realizing, and even if this is resonating with you, a lot of you are at different stages. If you're at the stage where you're feeling like all this old stuff come up, again, objectively go through it, cut those cords, move on. Give yourself a lot of compassion. If you're at the stage where you realize that, you know, all this old stuff doesn't work for you anymore, and you're at the stage where you're like, I don't even think I believe this anymore, but my body believes it. So I've got to start reprogramming my thoughts, my mind, my neurons, how I feel. I've got to start doing this for my new beginning. Then keep at that. Do that. Your self-worth will come back. Your real engaging self-worth. Giving yourself that beautiful self-love and that compassion for you. Giving yourself compassion for everything that you've been through gives yourself that space and that absolute beauty that you need right now to move forward. But everything is going wonderfully. You absolutely know that you're on a new level of healing, and you're owed this rediscovering the sweetness of life. You know, it's almost like you've gone through a lot of life with blinkers on, where there's more about, it's about surviving every interaction that you've had and every situation that you've had at work. And now we want you to concentrate on the thriving and bringing in that life you truly want. This is a very old deck. It's one of my first oracle decks, these angel decks, so excuse it if it's falling apart somewhat. But I would never get rid of it, partly because I don't want it in the landfill, and also giving up on any kind of oracle card is just not what I would ever do. This was actually sitting out there right side up, and I'm going to choose that for you. Emerging, absolutely, that makes sense. And at the bottom we have surrender and release. That's exactly what you're doing. You are emerging, but this is a brand new sense of emerging. This is emerging completely on your own terms, which gives you, again, the reason for this freedom. So stay with the compassion. Every ounce of compassion, save for yourself right now. Put yourself first. The self-love and the self-worth will come right back in. And then you'll have the sweetness of life. Be able to go back and objectively see what you've been through. Cut those cords. If you feel as though you need to work through some energy on the first and second chakra, now would be a good time to do it. Even if you've worked on your first and second chakra before, new things have come up for you to come up and release. And I hope this session has led you to that and sending some amazing vibes for you, healing vibes and clearing out of the first and second chakra. Sending Archangel Michael to you now to help you and insulate you while you heal and move on to a new sense of freedom. So I hope this reading resonated with you, Pawan. Sending you so much love and light. If it did, feel free to give me a thumbs up and let me know in the comments below. I love hearing from you guys. And of course, subscribe and hit that bell icon if you are not part of the Unicorn Light Tarot family. We would love to have you. And never, never, never forget, the Unicorn School of Light is just a click away down below. We have these beautiful courses. We still have our free course, Beyond Fear, for all you empaths out there. It's completely free. It's a 3-day course. And you can check out the courses on my website too, and there's other courses going on. So there's many different ways to get in touch and support and reach out if you need to. All right, sending so much love and light to you, Pile 1. Stay safe and sane until we meet again. Okay, my lovelies, if you chose Pile 2, vulnerability, showing vulnerability as a sign of strength, These are your messages from your angels, messages of self-love that we sincerely hope will help you on your healing journey. And again, we have the healing candle here to release or pull in abundance as you see fit. We will start off with your 2 tarot cards and then work on to your oracle cards here. You have the Knight of Wands in reverse, and you have Justice here. So one of the first things that we're seeing for you, pile 2, is how to use your voice and your action, how to specifically use your experiences in this lifetime to help others. You know, sometimes the way in which we help others is that we give them space and we protect that space for them, but actually say nothing. What you're learning is this real discernment of who you want to listen to and who you don't. Not in judgment, but just in rationality. And again, the vulnerability of taking those vulnerable moments that you've had in your life and applying it to a sort of a healing strategy where you can help others. You're really at that point where you've gone as far as you can on your own. You're now ready to really help others. Now, you may have been integrated into the world in such that you've already been helping others, but this will be on a new level. So let's see what we have here. We have the 6 of Fire. Victory, good news is on its way. Public recognition or rewards here. And this is in reverse, but don't worry about that. And we have the Princess of Winter also here. Inquisitive, truthful, realistic, undiplomatic. I love this. Information that can help you, but may also be difficult to hear. Speaking the truth with kindness. An indigo, child or adult. So the biggest thing for you is renegotiating what you see. Creativity, absolutely. A lot of you are very creative and vessel. Admit your feelings. So you've got some things up here. You've got some stuff here going on with vulnerability. Admit your feelings here, pile 2. Self-love really comes from the understanding of what you've been through and being really grateful for how beautiful your spirit is. You have such a tender heart, but at times you're very stoic. A lot of people would not necessarily understand what it is that you've been through. You don't really show it on the outside. And even people who claim that they do see it, they're more often 9 times out of 10 just projecting their pain onto you. They're not really seeing you, because if you ask them further to give you a rundown about who it is they think you are, they'll veer off in all sorts of different directions. So the initial feeling of being understood by others was merely a projection of others. It really wasn't true. So what you are dealing with is really understanding and accepting yourself on every level. You've been waiting for others to do this for you, and we're all in some ways looking to belong, right? We're all looking to belong. We're all looking to be accepted at some point, and it very rarely comes to us where we actually get to say, you know, I'm going to accept myself. I'm going to do this work myself, and I'm just going to say, you know what, it doesn't matter anymore if you don't accept me. Especially for somebody like you. Again, these are general readings. If this part of the reading doesn't work for you, then that's totally fine. This particular message isn't for you. But a lot of you didn't necessarily were seen growing up, or you were you were children, but then something would have happened, some kind of event where you came out of being a child and you didn't get to really live out those child years, and you weren't really seen. And we always say, you know, if you grew up in this sort of children are seen and not heard, but you know, the way people are bringing up their children now is completely the opposite, right? So depending on how you were brought up or how much you were seen, for you could have been brought up in a situation where people were genuinely doing their best, but they had so much to deal with themselves that they never really got to see you. So you had to create this safe world, this safe space for yourself. And of course, you were still looking externally outside of yourself for that acceptance that you really should have gotten. You should have seen, you should have been seen a lot quicker. in and around you, because it's that family unit that really sets that away and gives you that confidence and that groundedness. You might be very earthy, but there's times where you're not exactly grounded. You have this intense creativity, this intense imagination. I mean, if you convince yourself that the sky was falling, you probably would absolutely convince yourself. But the strength in which you had Pal too is that you used a lot of the strength that most people, when they're grounded and they have self-confidence, they get to use the strength that they have, and they get to sort of be out in the world a little bit differently than you did. You had to use every ounce of strength that you had to create this safe space, to create this grounding for yourself that should have been created for you but wasn't. So your vulnerability here, you didn't have time, you were in survival mode, you didn't have the vulnerability, you weren't in always positions to be vulnerable, and sometimes when you were vulnerable with people, maybe it didn't go well. Maybe people didn't appreciate it, or they judged you for it, or oh, you're too emotional. They, all of those, standard things that you were accused of, but nobody ever said, you're emotional, man. I love that. So we're saying that for you today, pal, too. You're emotional, and we love that. Your emotionality is actually your superpower. We've said here before, you are the vessel by which you can change your life at any time, and that's what you're doing. You'll do it through creativity, and you are here to build communities. You're here to tear down what no longer works for you, build yourself up, and then integrate yourself into communities, and those communities get stronger and everybody is seen. You're definitely here for justice. Again, the way in which you use it, the way in which you have your experiences and you believe your experiences, everything that you've been through, you're now at the point where you can use it in a catalyst motion to make sure that you can protect and help other people. And when we say protect, just give them space so they know who they are, and give them space to have that recognition and have that self-acceptance that you weren't given. So you know how to get that for yourself. You'll be able to create space for people so they can get that for themselves too. Now, the good news is coming. I know it's reversed, but what's going on here is that there's coming back to self-love. There's this real compassion for you, this real self-love for you is connected very much with your vulnerability, and really working with your emotionality and being really honest about where it came from and how it needs to be released. And also you are emphatic about the truth. You really hold the truth, and you have this energy of truthfulness with you, but it comes out at inopportune times sometimes. So for you, it's about how you wrap up that truth with a little bit of rose water, because sometimes you go out and you're like, yeah, and you're actually telling the truth, but people listen to your energy more than they do your words. So, it's been many years, but now to dial it back. And sometimes your energy just holds the truth and you don't even need to say it. So it really is about trying to figure out how to integrate your truth in your daily life without compromising yourself whatsoever. You've done a lot of compromising throughout your life to give space to other people who didn't deserve it. Now you're giving your space, your own space, but you're ready to move forward. You just have to trust that there is beauty there. All your guides here, we're bringing in all the angels for you for self-love and beauty and lifelong gorgeousness to be seen and accepted. You are by them, but it's more for you to be accepted, to accept yourself completely. And the way forward for you to open that door is that vulnerability, that complete and total vulnerability that will come out in your creativity. That's always come out in your creativity. Now you're being asked to integrate it into every layer of your life and see that emotionality really rise up and create this safe space for you, and create safe space, in your creativity, in the pockets of the worlds that you will create. Again, you're doing this work for yourself first. As you build yourself up, you will integrate yourself into communities, and from there you will all rise up together. This is a gorgeous time for you, and you were here to really embrace your emotionality and really embrace the area of self-love. We're asking you to give you everything that perhaps you were looking for in the external, and we all do this, so there's absolutely no judgment. But you will be able to see so much more of what people gave you as love, once you start giving yourself that self-love. And your self-love is very much, again, it's connected to compassion and then connected to your vulnerability. Open that door up of the vulnerability and you will find your self-love in there. Now, when you look back on your life objectively, you'll be able to see that people did their best. They really did. Especially family units who really did truly love you and did their best. Now, was it great? In most circumstances, again, these are general readings, no. Probably wasn't that great. But here's the thing, when you give yourself that compassion, you give yourself that self-acceptance, and you ground into your energy in a brand new way, you will be appreciating, you will be able to appreciate what it is that they did do, because that's the best they could do. And again, that never really excuses what should have been done, but you'll be on the other side of it now. You'll be on the non-judgment side. You'll be able to go back into your life, especially the beginning of your life. And when you put it all together, you'll be able to pull out these little gems of wisdom. This is, oh, I didn't remember that. Oh, that did happen. Maybe they did. Because you won't be looking so much to be accepted. You would have done that on your own terms. So now you can go in and sort of gather. I keep saying gathering the jewels, or gathering these beautiful dandelions from your life, these beautiful sunflowers that are growing out of certain aspects of your life, and you can put it together and you'll have a bunch of flowers. Something beautiful and decorative, but also meaningful from your life. So you'll be able to view your life completely differently and get these nuggets of beauty and wisdom and self-appreciation, knowing that they truly did do their best, because you're doing the work that they should have done, but you'll be able to see that that's all they could have given. So it's really a case of grounding into your own energy and seeing things for what they are, certainly, but at the same time elevating your stance and renegotiating how you see who you want to be in the world. Now, the beauty of it is for you, pal, too, is that a lot of you are craving some sort of recognition. Now, we're just going to give you a little bit of real truth. We totally understand why you crave the recognition. Mainly, you crave that recognition because you never got it, right? If you give yourself that, this is how it works, and it's kind of strange and it's kind of weird, but bear with me. Once you give yourself that recognition, you open that door of vulnerability, accept your emotionality, really see yourself as that superhero that you are, create that space, give yourself that self-acceptance and that self-love, which is directly, activated by your sense of vulnerability. Then what happens is your need to be seen falls away. And what happens is then the doors for you to be seen actually are wide open. So by really negotiating your own self-acceptance and doing that on your own, and negotiating why you want to be seen, and then saying, I really don't need to be seen. My creativity will get to the right people. I'll have a fine career. I'll do whatever I need to do. But that essence, that beautiful essence of freedom there, gives space for everything that you want to arise. It will just come in a different sort of format. So stay with it here for this vulnerability. This can be a tough time for some of you because, when you've been vulnerable in the past, it's not always gone that well. And there was times where you didn't have time to be vulnerable. You were in surviving, not thriving. You had to go. There were things to do. There were people to look after. It wasn't time. It was never time. This is the time for you. It's coming up no matter what. So just being in that space and creating that time for yourself. It's in the past you may have been really frightened that if you let these feelings in, you would not have been able to recover from them. You've been working through this in your shadow self for so many years. Again, this is not about going down the rabbit hole and about needing more healing. This is just accepting and bringing in this vulnerability and learning how to use it, connected to your self-love, and bring you into this new essence of who you are. But it's not going to be overwhelming for you. If you let this energy in, a couple of days at the most to really renegotiate, and a lot of those letting that in, that vulnerability will be like these aha beautiful moments of like tears running down, but so much joy. You know, there's not going to be a lot of pain moving through as you bring in the vulnerability. You've gone through and healed a lot of that. This is the last remnants of you understanding who you are, and who you are is your emotions. Now, for some of you who don't like people saying that, because when people have said that to you or about you, it's been in a negative connotation. We're saying it publicly, and we're saying with bright lights, this is beautiful. Your emotionality, that's where your strength lies. And you're here to show others how to do that. You're here to show others how to shine their light and get and provide that self-acceptance and compassion for themselves, and hold space for people on that route of doing that. You're very discerning, and you can see through to the actual universal truth. So let's see what we have here for you. Soulmate, look at that. I'm going to do this one too. This is divine guidance. Okay, so for a lot of you, there is, for most of you who know from past going through with this in past, I'm not big on twin flame stuff, because I think it gets blown out of proportion, and then people get obsessed with it and they move off in completely different directions, and it does more harm than good. And trust me, for people who are actually in a twin flame relationship, not people who think they're in a twin flame relationship, but people who are actually physically with their twin flame and have been through it, because I'm in a twin flame relationship, I can tell you it's rough at the beginning, depending on where you are, but you know you're in it. So for those of you who are at that point, you absolutely know who you are. So, but I'm not going to go on about twin flames here, because they are actually a lot rarer than people think they are. But there is a soulmate situation here coming in for you. Now, this is divinely guided, which means that there's been past lives. That means there's been parallel verses of both of you working and being with each other, but you haven't yet met. So it's one of those situations where, like, you know, you may have known the same people, or you may have visited the same country at the same week and gone to the same places. There will be all of those connections when you meet them. That, to me, is more of a soulmate relationship, but I'm not ruling out at all, nor would I ever, that it could be twin flame relationships. But I don't want anybody to get obsessed with the whole twin flame thing. I want you to open your heart just to whatever relationship comes in without any labels whatsoever, and just be you, and know that this relationship is coming in. Now, this relationship is in and around you, so it's going to be coming in quite soon. So this emotionality clear out is probably that clearing for this relationship to come in. A lot of you are connected to this person already, so you're probably feeling them coming in. And it will be one of those situations where you meet them sort of randomly. So my advice to you about this, because I see a lot of people get hung up about when are they coming in, this, that, and the other. You know, my advice to you is to really concentrate on yourself, pile 2. The main version of this reality, the main message that we're getting is go back to your vulnerability, create that true freedom for yourself, really put your energy first, and just work with that self-love. Honestly, that in itself, without calling in anyone or worrying about the external, will bring in that beautiful person all the time quickly. When I met my husband, I actually had decided that I didn't want to meet anybody. I'd just gone into a mediumship course. I didn't want to meet anyone. And I had just said to the universe, I want a year off from dating. I am not doing any of this anymore. All this energy is for me. And we all know that the universe has an incredible sense of humor. I met my husband less than a week later. So, you know, once you decide that you are you, you're getting your energy together, you don't need to worry about it. You know, remember, you're divinely guided. This meeting will happen anyway. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to obsess about where it's going to happen or any of that. You just need to know that it's there and it's coming in. All you need to do is look at yourself, look at your energy, put yourself first, go gather that self-love, and appreciate yourself, and allow in that emotionality and that vulnerability. And when that excellent, beautiful union does come in, then it will be the right timing, and you will know it. You will know it. So I hope this resonated with you, pile 2. I sincerely do. If it did, feel free to give me a thumbs up. And of course, let me know in the comments down below if it resonated, because I love hearing from you guys, of course. And Do feel free to hit that bell icon and subscribe if you are not part of the Unicorn Light Tarot channel already. Our little family here on the internet, we'd love to have you. And always, there's other ways to work with this energy and get more support. The Unicorn School of Light down below has a free course. It's still up. It's a 3-day course. It's called Beyond Fear. It's for all you empaths and beautiful sensitives out there. If you feel as though that could help you out, then go ahead and sign on. Like we said, completely free. And there's other courses going on too. All the details, as always, are down below. So my darlings, take care, Pile 2. I'm so excited for you. This is a beautiful journey of vulnerability and emotionality. Supreme strength to be who you are and be that success that you've always wanted to be in this world. Stay safe and sane until we meet again. Bye-bye. Okay, for all you Pile 3ers out there, if you chose passion, turn your fear of change into excitement for change. Your sacral chakra here. So that is one of your messages. And don't forget, we have the healing candle for activation and healing, however you want to use this session or this reading. And we have messages of self-love from your angels. We're definitely working with Archangel Michael because we're working with cutting the cords of what no longer works for you and sending you extra healing. So we have a couple of tarot cards to start off with, and then we'll get into your oracles too. So we have the King of Pentacles and the Ace of Swords, and both of those are reversed. So there's a little bit of fear and a little bit, let's see what else we have too. We have the 8 of Air, illusion of being trapped. Wonderful. This is reversed. A lack of self-confidence, afraid to take action on. We have the 9 of Winter here. Unfounded fear, focusing on worst case scenario. All right, so there's a little bit of fear here, but we've got the rebirth and we've got the love spell here, attract a lover. So we're, you definitely need some self-love. We're pouring out some self-love for you, Pile 3 here. So you've been renegotiating versions of yourself, say definitely in the last 8 months. So for you, it's been really interesting because everybody heals differently. For you, you've sort of chucked out everything and then you're deciding what comes back in, right? But as you've chucked out everything, you're feeling a little hollow and you're feeling a little on edge for some of you and feeling a little shaky, baby, right? Feeling a little ungrounded. And this is the reason why. When you've thrown out everything, this is a really brave way of healing. You get to reinvent yourself and a rebirth. You get to do this. You absolutely do. But you might be over focusing on what you're bringing in because you've done all of this work. There might be a little bit more fear about what you're bringing in now because you've done so much work to chuck everything out. We want to remind you that your passion and your faith, even if you bring stuff in right now, it's almost like what you've done. What they keep showing me is that you as a vessel, let's just say you've thrown everything out and you have this sort of magnet situation going on. So even if, energy seeps in and, situations or energy seeps in, that's, let's just say not perfect for you. It will be sort of one of those magnets that aren't really working together and it'll just be thrown out. So whereas before you took in a lot of information, you took in a lot of energy from other people and you got overwhelmed by it. Sometimes it made you ungrounded, anxious, that sort of thing. You've really regrounded yourself. You figured out what's going on, and now when you bring in energy, you can talk yourself through it and it won't do that to you anymore. But because you've known that this is what it's done for you, the external world has leaked into your world so many times and kind of messed it up, for one phrase or another, for wanting of a better term. So you're a little bit nervous about bringing anything in now. And especially right now, I keep saying to people, especially on this channel, be discerning. There's a lot of stuff out there. People are saying all sorts of things. No judgment. They get to say whatever they want. They get to figure out that everybody's human. We're human vessels. We're channeling whatever it is that we're channeling, but it's going through our human vessel, right? And even though we're ascending, we are not enlightened. So, we're not always objective. So definitely be discerning. But for you, Pile 3, you might be really discerning where nothing's making it in. And then you're getting confused because you feel sort of light, but not in a joyous way. You feel lost because there's nothing. You can't figure out right or wrong, or not that, not that those polarities need to work for you, but we usually have sort of a moral code, some kind of grounding for ourselves. And you do have that. So go back to that. You're not as empty as you think you are, and the emptiness can be seen as joyful. But when it comes to your own voice and accepting your own voice and your own version of truth, you get a bit nervous. You get a little shaky baby putting out your voice out there with that truth, because you're wondering about repercussions. But because you've chucked everything out and you're sort of starting from scratch, there is even an inkling of you that's like, maybe there's no truth anymore. It's almost like you've gone so far into your own head, which I absolutely do, that you've gotten so philosophical, that you've talked yourself out of everything, talked yourself out of a human existence. We're here to remind you, Pile 3, that you're definitely human in this lifetime. You're here to have a human experience, which means that you're not always going to be right. That means that, the truth can be filtered through your vessel and it'll come out all sorts of ways, but trusting that it comes out in the ways that you need to look at and you need to heal from. And that's what we're seeing right now. We're seeing a lot of darkness come out and everybody's shedding light on it, but people are being very specific about how that darkness must look, and that's totally fine. The most important thing is that that darkness is out there and we need to look at it. Is there one way to look at it? Is there one way to see it? No. And if somebody says that there is, that's fine. That's up to them to figure out or refigure that for themselves. But for you, you don't need one version of doing things. You can let everything in without it affecting you as it did before. So the nervousness and the fear and the anxiety that you might be feeling, if you are feeling it, is just wondering if there's any truth out there. There is universal truth out there. I know it's confusing, but you can find it within your heart. Now, your heart isn't empty. Your heart holds a hell of a lot of wisdom with everything that you've been through. So, use your passion to work through and blow through all that other stuff that's just coming in and sitting within you that really doesn't need to. You're being asked to enlighten up. I always say E-N, lighten up, enlighten up. You've gotten so focused on your healing, Pile 3, which is absolutely wonderful. When you focus on something, you truly, truly do. But what you're focusing on is not what needs to be focused on. Getting back to a sense of self. Remember, your self-love comes from your self-assurance that your own inner compass and your own intuition will always lead you to the right path. It will lead you to the right people. When people start saying things, even if there's a part of you that you want to believe with them, there's an energy to them. People can't hide who they are for too long. That you have this incredible compass. Now, you've always had it, but you've not always worked with it. Pile 3, but you have this incredible compass that's been activated within you now that cannot steer you wrong. And there's a part of you that's clicked in recently where you've realized that the only way to move forward is to work with your intuition. That's it. That's the only thing that you've got. You're working from your heart center. Every time you get really pragmatic or in your heart, in your head, it doesn't lead anywhere because you're very hardworking and you can use your passion, but it ends up going off in a different direction. Then you figure out, I don't even want to be here. How did I get here? So your intuition and your sense of self has been clicked in. So your inner compass is actually working. So allow yourself this rebirth that's coming in. Allow yourself this light joy of knowing who you are, knowing that nothing will stick to you. Even if there's various different people telling you all sorts of different things, you don't need to choose any of them. Maybe none of them are true for you, and that's okay. Now, you do know the actual truth. You were here to shine exact truth beyond polarity, this old narrative of good versus evil. We have a shadow side. We're all good and evil. And the closer we get to that, so we actually understand that evil does not exist outside of ourselves, we're capable of anything and everything. It's the choices that we make every day that sets us apart. It's what we choose and who we are and what we stand for, right? So once you use that glorious truth that you have and you say it with absolute surety, without any qualms whatsoever. You will be able to stand in your own sense of beauty, and that will absolutely up the ante for you when it comes to self-confidence. So you're being asked to get out there, and you're being asked to do it on your own terms. And any of the fear that you may have had, it's more cloud, it's more like a fog is around you, and it's like everybody else's opinions, and that's all they are. You know, people are claiming all sorts of things, this is right, this is wrong, but really at the end of the day, it's somebody else's opinion, right? But you can see through the truth and see something as truth or see something as an opinion. So you can absolutely call on your angels. You can say whatever you need to say without repercussions, because the right people are going to be attracted to you, and know that you're not saying it out of a place of fear, out of a place of control, out of a place to please anyone or any kind of agenda whatsoever. You are about unity. You are about freedom, total, complete freedom, which we already have. We don't need to fight for freedom. We don't need to fight against anything to get freedom. You are a sovereign being. You are free right now. And that's what you're here to embrace. So use that passion connected to your self-love. Your self-love is directly connected to your confidence, right? Your confidence, pile 3, is connected to your need to speak your truth. And your need for truth is connected to understanding that the emptiness that you feel is actually brilliant, and that you have the space to figure out what it is that you want and who it is that you want to be. And all of this empty space that you feel that you have is actually working in your favor. You're not lost. You're not empty. You're not wondering who you are. If you are feeling this way, it's all going to come together. This emptiness is exactly what you've been trying to achieve. Because you've taken on so many other people's energies and opinions for so long. Now it's like beautiful for you to sit back and say, I'm completely empty. I've got nothing left. But that can be really scary for making the next move, for trying to see if you're going to be successful in this lifetime. You know, that notion of success existed for you before you chucked out that notion of success, right? Your notion of success now is being free, joyous, happy, living via your inner compass, listening to your heart and your intuition. I always say to people, when you are in doubt, listen to your head first. Your head will tell you something. Now take a couple of deep cleansing breaths and then listen to your heart. Your heart will tell you, 9 times out of 10, your heart will tell you something completely different about the situation. I always say that the quickest way to do it is ask your mind if the world is safe. Now the world will come up, no, we've got this, we've got that, we do, you know, and all of that is true. We do have all of that going on. But then your heart, speak to your heart. Is the world safe? Your heart's going to come up with so many different other things. So if you're ever in doubt and you come up to this point where you're feeling a little bit lost, and the way in which you feel lost causes anxiety, because the way in which you feel lost is you feel like there's nothing to grab onto and like you're ungrounded. You need to ground into your own energy again and really see this loss of everything as something primordial and beautiful, because you get this rebirth, you get to start again, and you always had your own moral code about who it is that you are. You love truth. You can see it implicitly. Even when people are claiming that they're telling the truth, you can see through them, and sometimes they are and sometimes they're not. So your inner compass is wired to see the universal, objective, beautiful truth that brings us back to freedom and unity at every step of the way. So you know you never need to worry about that. If you take that knowledge, ground it right into your first chakra, that becomes your groundedness. And then your passion can be used to portray your voice of reason, we might add, in pile 3. And then from there you get that self-confidence, and then that anxiety, of course, is just thrown away because it's no longer needed. And then you feel that sense of connection with people who are also like you. There's a tendency, pile 3, to do a lot of your healing behind closed doors, and that's what you've had to do, and that's what you've done, and that's wonderful. But now this level really is about taking that passion and being out there, and being out there in the way that you want, being out there and going for what it is that you want. Now, in the past with lovers, you may have had an idea of what it is that you've wanted, but what it is that you've settled for, who it is that you've settled for, may have not quite have met those requirements. There's been a part of you that, wanted to heal people, wanted to, you don't want to fix them, because you give people space to be who they are. You're not nagging them or I need you to do this. You're not trying to change them. But the beauty of you is that you see this gorgeousness in everybody, and you expect everybody to rise up to that occasion. A lot of people aren't able to do that. And a lot of people aren't able to do that while they're with you. And they are able to do that once you leave, but you weren't supposed to be with them anyway. But this attracting new lover energy is really exciting for you, Pile 3, because this rebirth of connecting to who you truly are based on your own universal sense of freedom and your own inner compass, not everybody else's opinion, is grounding you into a new way of seeing a partner coming in. And this new partner coming in, you will not feel like you need to fix. This partner will, you won't have to heal them. You won't have to do the work for them or hold out energy for them and hope that they catch up to you. They've always had to catch up to you, and a lot of people aren't able to do that. This person will meet you on your own terms. They will also have a love of profound truth and freedom. And they won't need to fight for it either. They know that it's just there. They will be a sovereign being. They'll also quail your anxiety in many ways, because, you can get all heady up in your head, and they'll just remind you that that's what you're doing, and it's a process, and you can click on out of it whenever you want. They will remind you to live and stay within your heart space. When you live within your heart space, you're full of certainty, and you're absolutely grounded in who you are. But you tend to go up into your head a lot, because there's a part of you that wants to fix everything, and the mind practically wants to fix this because it can take things apart and put everything back together again. Now, in certain aspects of your life, this could have worked for you, and it probably did, but you're not being asked to work from your headspace anymore. You're being asked to work from your heart space anymore, and your heart knows all of the answers because it's connected to universal source energy, which never lies, right? So let's see what we have here. Your passion. You have so much passion and so much beauty and so much energy. You can let that really just roam in your physical body and just pull out what no longer works for you. You've done a lot of that already, but if there's a little bit of a remnants here or there, just let your passion go ahead and do that. I think we said, I can't remember if it's Pile 1 or Pile 2, but a cleansing of the first and second chakra here. Your sacral chakra is for you if you wanted to do some extra work, and certainly some breathing work. I just got this, and again, these are always general readings, so if these little pieces, some of them are for you, then take what resonates. But for some of you, you're being asked to connect back into your breathing. Your breathing has been shallow because you've been working on getting through life, again, surviving, not thriving, and you've not been able to sort of have those deep breaths. You'll notice your lungs are working in a very particular way, but if you can get back into those really deep cleansing breaths and cleanse out too, work with your sacral chakra with those cleansing breaths, it brings you back into a sense of future. You can see your timelines clearly. You can work with your guides really clearly. They actually work with you, certainly through meditation. Guides can work with you in any way, shape or form. Meditation certainly, but for you, the message is that they're working through your breath. So if you want to work with breathing exercises, that would be wonderful for you. Again, attracting this new partner that's coming in, that's worthy of you, doesn't need any work. It's very exciting. So listening, absolutely, listening to your inner soul, listening to your heart. Do that exercise between asking your head and asking your heart. Keep doing that until you start trusting your heart. This rebirth is there for you. This anxiety is more like a fog that's in and around you while you're trying to make the right choices as to moving forward. But as long as you stay with that self-love, and your self-love is connected to your passion, that's connected to your own inner compass that's already been activated, connected to your heart and your intuition, connected to using your universal truth and speaking your universal truth, and renegotiating what that looks like, so you get out there and you speak that universal truth without any form of repercussions. It really will not matter. The right people will be attracted to your energy, and that's what you're here to do. Let's do one more for this angel oracle cards here. Let's choose this one. Celebration. Please do celebrate your rebirth, this brand new sense of self. What you tend to do is, when you've done a lot of work, you tend to be hard on yourself because you've done so much work and you've done it, you've achieved it, and there's a little bit left to do, and then you tend to get hard on yourself that you haven't achieved that little bit that you haven't done already. But you won't look back and celebrate how far you've come. It's like, oh my God, I did do that, but I could have done that, and then that would have been amazing. No, we're asking you to stop exactly where you are, go back and celebrate everything that you've been through, because it's a glorious celebration of everything that you've been through and everything that you've allowed into your life, so you could really look at it and then throw it out. This is your brand new time. Please celebrate exactly where you are without having to do anything else. This is going to bring you back to self-love. Click right into your passion. And remember, you cannot go wrong. Your inner compass has been activated. You've always had a good sense of intuition, whether you've listened to it or not, but the inner compass has been activated, and this new energy that's coming in is absolutely wonderful. Remember, speak your truth. It's not coming from a place of agenda. Your truth is never coming from a place of agenda. So you never need to worry about repercussions. You know, people who come back on it are coming from a place of agenda. So they'll project that onto you. But you don't need to worry about that. First of all, probably won't happen. If it does, they will deal with that energy. You can just give it right back to them. It doesn't matter. Your sense of truth is coming from a sense of peace, a sense of freedom that we don't need to fight for. We already have, from the sovereign being, from the objective universal truth of unity. That's where it's coming from. So the more you use your voice, even if it's a little bit shaky, baby, a little bit at the beginning, it'll click into your passion, click into your self-confidence, and that's where you find your grounding. So that's what I have for you, pile 3. I hope this resonated. If it did, do feel free to give me a thumbs up and let me know in the comments if it resonated. I love hearing from you guys. And of course, subscribe and hit that bell icon and become part of our Unicorn Light Tarot family. Would love to have you, absolutely. And do not forget that we also have the Unicorn School of Light down below. The links are all down below. If you need extra support, courses are there. Just more ways to work with beautiful energy and get some support. As a reminder, we have a 3-day free course, which is Beyond Fear, for all of you sensitive, starseeds, however it is that you feel that you are. If you feel like you're a sensitive in this world, it's a free 3-day course for support for that. So go ahead and get yourself on that if you feel like you need to. But there's other courses in there and other ways to get in more support and love. So you take care of yourself. Really excited for this. Not even new beginning, just this new, brand new, rebirth, becoming you after you've shed everything that no longer works for you. Very exciting for you, pile 3. You stay safe and sane, my darling. And until we meet again, bye-bye.